Hello, once again. Welcome to the security update, which will often look at issues concerning security in the continent from west to east. And these are the stories making the headlines. Somali military court sentenced a soldier to death for shooting mini-bus driver at illegal checkpoint. TBLF forces withdraw 65% of fighters from frontline, says commander. Al-Shabaab claims full control villages in Pai region. Plus, Nigeria's Abuja-Kaduna train resumes operations after terrorist attack. Hello, welcome to the program. A military court in Somalia sentenced Abdurrahman Addo, who is a Somali soldier, to death for killing a minibus driver at an illegal checkpoint in Middle Shabelle last month. The court verdict came at the time Hiran Regional Governor Ali Jaita Osman has issued a stern warning against illegal checkpoints in the region. A Somali military court sentenced a Somali soldier to death in connection for the murder of minibus driver in Middle Shabelle region last month. The court announced it has detailed evidence against the Somali soldier that he intentionally killed the driver. The court identified the convicted soldier as Abdurrahman Addo, and security forces arrested him last Tuesday for shooting dead a minibus driver during a dispute at an illegal checkpoint near Balad town. The soldier was reported to have demanded a payment of about 100,000 Somali shillings, while the driver told him that he could only pay 90,000 before an argument ensued, and the driver was shot dead. The court's verdict came at the time Hiran Regional Governor Ali Jaita Osman has issued a stern warning against illegal checkpoints in the region, following reports of increased checkpoints on roads connecting the region's main towns. Al-Shabaab fighters say they have recaptured the Dainonai village in Pai region, making it the second village Al-Shabaab to reclaim its control after Gulf Gadud within 2 days. Both sides did not report casualties. Also, government forces did not comment on the loss of these villages. Al-Shabaab fighters claim to have recaptured the Dainonai village in the Pai region following an ambush attack and heavy fighting between the group and government forces. Local residents said that the two sides used a variety of light and heavy weapons but are unsure of the casualties. Somali government forces also withdrew from the Gulf Gadud Pure district, about 30 kilometers from Paidar town, and Al-Shabaab immediately entered the area. The reason for the withdrawal of the government forces from the district is unknown. Security officials did not comment on the loss of the Dainonai village, about 25 kilometers from Paidar, the interim capital of the southwest regional state. Somali forces killed about 40 Al-Shabaab fighters in the Middle Shabelle region this week, the latest clashes in a months-long offensive that aims to weaken the grip of the Al-Shabaab in central Somalia. Kenya's Directorate of Criminal Investigation Police Unit and the Joint Anti-Terrorism Task Force have received a major logistical push of the 2 top-of-the-range vehicles, and 12 motorbikes were donated to the units by the U.S. government.
The donations aimed at boosting the unit's operations in the anti-terror campaign was made by the Federal Bureau of Investigation's Anti-Terror Assistance Program and the State Department Bureau of Counterterrorism, represented by Mas Mike Solis and Julius Nata from the Federal Bureau of Investigations. The donations were made courtesy of the growing and improving the partnership between the Directorate and the United States in the security sector. The partnership has seen the Directorate benefit immensely in terms of developing the human resource capacity of the men and women to respond to contemporary security challenges. This was after the realization that emerging threats such as terrorism and violent extremism are not unique to Kenya, but are global challenges that have also had devastating effects on the United States and its strategic allies and partners. The establishment of the Joint Terrorism Task Force began after the Al-Shabaab terrorist attack on the Dusit D2 hotel, after it was established that there was a need for a multi-agency counter-terrorism investigative force in the country.
The Commander-in-Chief of the Tigray rebel forces has said that 65% of his forces have disengaged, a month after a ceasefire agreement over Ethiopia's war-torn northern region.
In an interview, General Tadesse Werede, Chief of Staff of Tigray's fighters, told reporters on Saturday that their forces have started disengagements and relocation of their forces from battle lines. Out of our forces, 65% of them have passed through this process, disengaging from battle lines and moved to designated places. The two parties signed a peace deal in South Africa in November that led to a cessation of hostilities and allowed aid into Tigray, as well as the disarming of TPLF fighters and re-establishment of federal authority over Tigray. Tigray leaders had been resisting central rule for months when Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed accused their leadership of attacking federal army camps and sent troops into the region in 2020. However, Tadesse said there were still forces in the areas that don't want peace, apparently referring to Eritrean soldiers and other regional Ethiopian militia. He said the problems they are creating and the abuses they are committing on the population isn't secret, so we've paused to some extent our disengagement in some places to prevent them from entering into new areas and continuing their atrocities on the population. His troop were not 100% disengaged until the threat was reduced, he added. The conflict between the Tigray People's Liberation Front (TPLF) and pro-Abiy forces, which include regional militias and the Eritrean army, has caused an untold number of deaths, forced more than 2 million people from their homes and driven hundreds of thousands to the brink of famine.
Nigeria's Abuja-Kaduna rail services, which were halted earlier this year after a deadly attack, was reopened this week. The train services were suspended in March this year after terrorists attacked its passengers. But we will be back after the short break.
Making documentaries is one of the most creative craft and challenging endeavors you can be involved in. It is an effective strategy to inform, persuade, educate, defend the perspective, and shed light on various issues, policies, and activities. At CBA TV, documentary production is our forte. We capture every TikTok detail of events in highest resolution to tell the story you care about, from politics to human hunger, research-based content, educative and informative. We also help you project your story in a dynamic perspective that attracts the world views of the target audience, as there is no better or more powerful way to place the organization's values and achievements than to make an excellent documentary film. No doubt, our strength lies in these ventures, and we pride in many award-winning documentaries which have been earning accolades across Africa and beyond. Let's tell your story.
Welcome back again. Nigeria's Abuja-Kaduna rail services, which were halted earlier this year after a deadly attack, was reopened this week. The train service were suspended in March this year after terrorist attacks its passengers.
The Nigerian Railway Corporation has opened the online ticket portal for Abuja-Kaduna rail services ahead of the resumption later on Monday. The resumption is coming a week after the Minister of Transportation, Muazu Sambo, announced the extension of the train services. CBA TV reported that terrorists attacked the Abuja-Kaduna train on March 28, 2022, kidnapping 168 passengers and killing 8 others. The release of the victims by the kidnappers has been in batches since then, with the last 23 freed in October. In order to prevent yet another attack, the Nigerian Railway Corporation says the management is introducing new security measures, including surveillance devices to monitor the tracks and the trains. Passengers will also have to provide their national identification number before having access to the train. Abuja-Kaduna rail line is an important line. The rail track links the Nigeria capital, Abuja, and northern city of Kaduna. Kaduna is a trade center and a major transportation hub as the gateway to northern Nigeria, with its rail and important road networks. Kamil Sadiq, CBA TV, Nigeria.
Leaders of the West African states meeting at the summit in Abuja have called on Mali's ruling junta to release 46 Ivorian soldiers held captive since July or face sanctions.
The chairman of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS Commission, said, "We asked the Malian authorities to release the Ivorian soldiers by January 1st, 2013 at the latest."
Continue to dialogue with the authorities in Mali for the immediate release of the 46 soldiers detained in Mali.
Failure to which the ECOWAS will take actions, as a West African diplomat told an AFP correspondent on condition of anonymity. Toure also said that the ECOWAS reserves the right to act if the soldiers do not regain their freedom by January 1st.
In the event the soldiers are not released quickly, the leaders reserve the right, and they have taken the decision to take certain measures.
The mediator between Mali and Ivory Coast in this crisis, Togolese President Faure Gzimbe, will have to go to Mali to demand the release of the soldiers, the West African diplomat confirmed. Mali has been at loggerhead with Côte d'Ivoire and ECOWAS since it arrested 49 Ivorian soldiers on July 10 when they arrived in Bamako. The United Nations and Côte d'Ivoire claim that the soldiers were to participate in the security of the German contingent of peacekeepers in Mali, but Bamako says it considers them mercenaries who have come to undermine state security.
Not less than 11 people were injured while unconfirmed number of others were kidnapped after a gunman attacked Muslim worshippers in a mosque in Delta State, southern Nigeria on Friday. The state police spokesperson confirmed the attack but did not comment on those who were abducted.
Unidentified gunmen early on Friday morning attacked a mosque in Ugeli, Delta State, southern region of Nigeria, leaving 11 Muslim worshippers injured. It was reported that the Imam, Malam Muhammadu Sani, who was also injured, was taken away to an unknown destination by the attackers. One of the injured victims that spoke from his hospital bed, Muhammad Bagudu, disclosed that the gunmen, masked, entered the mosque and began to shoot at people during the early Fajr morning prayer. Delta Police spokesperson DSP Bright Edafi confirmed the attack but did not speak on the abduction of the worshippers. Condemning the attack, the foremost Muslim leader in the state, Alhaji Mumaika Unaga, said that Muslim worshippers, particularly those in the area where the attack took place, are now in fear as they do not know the motive for the attack. Kidnappings are common in some parts of the West African country and are largely committed for financial gains by criminals who have no known ideological motivation. In the southeastern state, scores of recent assaults have been blamed on the outlawed separatists, the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, and its armed wing, the Eastern Security Network, ESN. IPOB, which seeks a separate state for ethnic Igbo people, has repeatedly denied responsibility for the violence. Kamil Sadiq, reporting for CBA TV, Nigeria.
The Prime Minister of Somalia, Hamse Daabjeeerin, has met with the Sobe 2 Rescue Committee in the Prime Minister's office and listened to reports about the people affected by the explosion, with the 119 deaths in October, and how they benefited from the government support.
The Prime Minister Hamse Daabjeeerin has met with the Sobe 2 Rescue Committee in the Prime Minister's office and listened to reports about the people affected by the explosion. With the 119 deaths, the committee briefed the Prime Minister on the work done and how they helped the people who were affected by the explosion. The chairman of the Disaster Management Agency, Mahmoud Maalin, reported that the people affected by the explosion were rescued well and were paid the families of their losses of the death, and said only 113 are verified. Also stating that 10 injured were sent outside the country for medical care, and reported that they paid for all the expenses for almost $2,000. The chairman affirmed that the committee also paid the medical expenses of the injured people in the country. The Prime Minister Hamse Daabjeeerin praised the Somali people, including the university students and also the International Committee, for their role to extend support to those people affected by the explosion in October. Hanan Abdurrahman, CBA.
And with that story of the Prime Minister meeting with the committee, we'll wrap up our program for this time. Thank you very much for being with us. This is me, Hamse Daabjeeerin.